What's that story you've never been able to tell? I found out when I was 28 that my dad's side of the family had been in the witness protection program my entire life, and that their names were not what I had been told. Jesus, what are they hiding from? My grandma was part of a major drug bust in the 80s that ended up involving the entire family, and they had to move cross-country and change names. Damn, grandma went hard for the dough. She went hard for the cocoa. She got it on the low. Bacon soda, I got bacon soda. No, Granny's got the baking soda. Granny's got the ghetto dope. She was a snitch. That's a turn of events. Was your grandma Griselda? That woman was a gangsta. Fun fact, she got in an argument with one of her husbands. It got heated and she pulled out a pistol while he pulled out an Uzi. He was also with 6 of his bodyguards. At the end, the husband and all 6 bodyguards were killed. Badass. When I was in kindergarten, I fell asleep on the bus to school. No one woke me up. I wake up eventually and the bus is empty. I panic, as any 5-year-old does, and run to the front of the bus and try the door. It's locked. It was parked in a KFC parking lot, so people were coming in and out of the building. I started wailing with terror, banging on the glass doors, snot pouring down my face and into my mouth as people walk by and point at me. They mumbled and got into their car and left. By the time the bus driver finally came back out with her chicken meal, the entire door was covered in my slobber and tears. She instructed me how to open the closed door so she didn't have to put her meal down. I was still freaking out obviously and didn't understand. So she sighed, put her food down and finally opened the door and asked me what was I doing there. She called the school and drove me there, still covered in snot. I remember walking into my class with everyone standing in a line and hugging me one at a time. After that day, they made a rule for all bus drivers to get up and walk the bus front to back to make sure no kids get left sleeping. Oh, I love what your class did, that's so amazing. I would have been scared shitless if I woke up in an empty, silent bus. Sounds like a surreal experience. Something somewhat similar happened to me as a kid. When I was about 5 or so, I went to the bathroom at a fast food place my babysitter took me to. After I went and washed my hands, I tried to open the door, but it was stuck. I started freaking out and banging on the door, screaming for help. My babysitter showed up, mortified at my making a scene, and I was just a bawling, snot-covered mess. I don't know if the door was just stuck really good or if it was too heavy for me to open, but she was able to open it from the other side. She grabbed me and we left quickly because everyone was staring. I don't think adults realize how scary it is for a child to be stuck somewhere, familiar or not, and think they're going to be stuck there forever. I felt your pain reading this. When I was about 5, my mom and I were walking around town together and we stopped by my aunt's house. My aunt wasn't home, but I really had to pee, so my mom let me inside to use her sister's bathroom. She waited outside. For some reason, I couldn't get the door back open. I think maybe it was because the locks faced a different way than they did in my house, so I thought it was unlocked but stuck somehow. I freaked out. I began banging on her door, screaming and crying, but my mom didn't hear me from outside. I started climbing up her linen closet cabinet to try and reach the window, but couldn't get it open. I found a phone in there, but didn't know how to use it to call for help. It either didn't have buttons or I didn't have hearing aids yet. I thought I was going to have to live in the bathroom forever and no one would ever find me, and I'd have to survive off toilet paper. I ate some toilet paper to get myself used to my new life. At some point, uneventfully, I got the door back open and left. I remember very little after this except that my mom didn't notice anything was amiss, so this may have been an entire drama in 5 to 10 minutes. I laughed so hard and I ate some toilet paper so I could get used to my new life that it made my day. Thank you. I was a lonely kid in the mid-2000s and I joined chat rooms like most kids/teens my age. I was a little younger than the average kid on there, as far as I knew, so I lied and upped my age on them. Said I was 15 or 16 instead of 11 or 12. I never gave actual info. I said I lived in a different state, almost always gave a fake name. I thought I was clever. I mostly used the sites to either A, talk to girls my age about life and school and boys, or B, role-play chat with boys because my family was very strict and religious and I was curious about sex. I was super inexperienced and thought I could get some information or at least explore some different feelings from it. Looking back, that could have gone terribly wrong, however it was the former reason that got me in trouble. A few years after my parents found out about the chat sites and grounded me permanently from the internet, without supervision, anyway, my dad got a call at work from an FBI agent located in our state asking about me being his daughter and my email address. I had foolishly given a girl my email address and exchanged names and small talk before she asked to exchange pictures. She sent one first and it was so weird it freaked me into not sending one. The picture was so overtly sexual that I was just not interested. I forgot all about her after that. Turns out she was some 40-year-old child porn collector in a different time zone who was getting pictures from kids and swapping them around with other pedos. It was a very complicated but apparently normal thing for those types of people. My email had been found in his computer and so they had to talk to us, since I was still a minor. I didn't reply with a picture so they weren't too worried about it. I wasn't much help, I don't think. I still refer to that person as a her when I think about it, or when I tell someone like my so. The FBI lady called later to tell my parents he had been found guilty and sent to prison. I don't know his name, I don't want to. It definitely freaked me out for a long time. Funny story, my high school band director was sent to prison for doing that very thing in the mid-2000s. There's my, I don't want to talk about it moment. I couldn't imagine any of my 3 band directors being sent to prison for that. Well, actually, maybe one of them. My high school band teacher got busted for the same thing, same time period too. I grew up in a very conservative household, sex was never talked about at all, and you knew if you got caught with something you shouldn't you'd be in giant trouble. When I was 17 I bought a vibrator. I had literally no experience, even alone, but was super curious. The way it worked was you had to screw the bottom off it on to keep the batteries in and to turn it on. I put it underneath my bed, and thought I had it unscrewed enough that it would stay off until later. Well, I'm downstairs listening to a CD player with my headphones on, and suddenly I hear my 2 young sisters yelling about something and running around the house. I take my headphones off and I hear bzzzzzzz echoing through the house. My room was directly above the living room, and my floor was wooden. They're feeling out, thinking there's a wasp in the house or something electrical is about to explode. Thank God my parents weren't home, they probably would have figured it out a lot easier. One sister runs upstairs, realizes it's coming from my room, and I dash ahead of her and just throw myself over the bed to feel underneath it. I turn off the vibrator and then tell them my old phone was under there and must have had an alarm on it, which made no sense, it'd been months since I changed phones. They don't believe me and think it must be the pipes under my room. They tell my parents when they get home that the pipes freaked out. My family listens closely for months to see if we need to call a plumber. I decided to take my terrible secret to the grave, and then 10 years later post it on Reddit. The end. My first BF bought us a little vibrator. I had it after our breakup and used it frequently. Due to family situations I lived in my first own apartment. My grandma lived in the same street and came on a regular basis to clean up my apartment, against my will. Yeah, someday my vibrator is gone. Literally gone. It was between mattress and bed and was just gone. I never asked her, for obvious reasons, but yet. She died a few years ago and I moved away. It was still lost. I will never know what happened to it, especially BC no other things were lost. She'll probably threw it away, especially if she were like any Victorian grandmas out there. Bless her little heart, she wasn't any kind of Victorian. Talked so dirty and asked about any guy in my life, lol. She was really cool tbh. She sounds really cool. She probably used it on herself. Yes, on her dirty granny pussy. You have such a way with words. I moved to the UK from Zimbabwe when I was 4. The first few years my parents spent their whole time trying to settle down. By the time I was 8 they realized we had never been to London. So on a hot June day we went into London. We went to the aquarium, Covent Garden, to see all the performers. On the London Eye, it was a good day. To end the day we went to Buckingham Palace. I was tired, so I was resting my head against the bars asking all the questions you'd expect from an 8-year-old. After a while my parents said it was time to go. I pushed away from the bars and then felt the cold steel against the back of my ears. I hadn't noticed my head has slipped through. I panicked. A crowd gathered. I'm probably in many a family photo album. Even a horse guard came to see what the commission was about. Bet he wasn't expecting a child with his head stuck. By then I had accepted this as my new home, but I couldn't figure out how I'd go to sleep with a spike on the floor. Luckily an old lady had a tub of Vaseline in her handbag and my dad was able to pull me out with my head smothered in Vaseline. I like to think the old lady was the queen. I can confirm, it's always the queen. Source, live in London. In 6th grade one night I was like, I really don't feel like going to school tomorrow, so I looked up how to get a fever. I found a tutorial that said to take a bath at the hottest temperature your bathtub will go, and then stay up all night. I decided to try it and I started the water for a steaming hot bath. It stung to get in it, and I somehow survived it for 30 minutes. When I was getting out I felt dizzy and then I fell on the floor and had a seizure. I woke up and saw the blinding ceiling lights of the bathroom and the first thing I thought was, am I dead? And then I threw up in the toilet next to me and had a migraine for the night. And later found out I got first-degree burns. So long story short, don't do that. Did you go to school the next day? No. Not for a week. So, success. If a plan is stupid and it works, then it's not stupid. Thanks for watching, subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss a video.